Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff is the only Democratic senator up for re-election in a state that Donald Trump won in 2024, and he is campaigning against Donald Trump's corruption.
You aren't the problem. Neither are your fellow Americans. The problem is a corrupt and failing political system. The problem is that the people's elected representatives don't represent the people. They represent the donors and special interests. Corruption is why things don't work for ordinary people. This fight isn't just about politics. It isn't just about one man or one party. It's about power. Who has it and who our system serves. If we can break the grip of corruption, our politics can meet the people's needs instead of serving the wealthy and powerful. That's a fight we have to win.
Joining us now is Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff of Georgia. He's a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee and the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. Senator, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It seems that the votes that Senator Schumer is going to force coming up in the Senate, even this week, go to some of these issues that you're talking about in terms of the Trump team corruption that the Senate Democrats now are trying to block.
Lawrence, thank you so much for having me. And yes, and look, I am running in Georgia against two Trump lackeys who you can rest assured as they race for the president's approval would be voting for this crooked ballroom and this insurrectionist slush fund. And in fact, every national political reporter in the country should be putting that question to these two candidates tonight. They want to be candidates for the U.S. Senate. Let's see them prove to the people of Georgia once again, because they're pro-war, they're pro-tariff, they're pro-cutting health care. Let's find out where they stand on the crooked ballroom and the insurrectionist slush fund. And I want folks to understand the stakes of this race here in Georgia. As you said, I am the only Democratic senator running for re-election in a state that Donald Trump won, and I'm facing down two Trump loyalists. The GOP will spend hundreds of millions of dollars to try to defeat me in the toughest battleground state in the country. And there is no path back to the majority. There is no path back to stopping Donald Trump in the Senate without winning in Georgia. So this is something people can do right now to make a difference. I'm asking them to go to electjon.com and help me win this razor-close and essential Senate race in the state of Georgia.
What are Georgia voters telling you about what they think the top issues are now?
Lawrence, I am hearing from Republicans who come up to me on the street, or they approach me at the airport, or maybe they have my number and they give me a call, and they're telling me that they are voting for a Democrat for the first time this year because they've just had enough. The abuses of power, the blatant self-enrichment and corruption. While the American people face all-time high prices for rent and groceries and a meal out at a restaurant and the power bill, the people have had enough. And I believe that a mighty wave is building to rebuke these abuses of power and to restore checks and balances. But it's all, once again, as it has, election after election, going to come down to this race in Georgia, which is why, again, I'm asking people to go to electjon.com and help out our campaign.
As you split your time now in this year, as you have to, between your duties in the Senate and the need to campaign in your home state of Georgia, how do those two things interact? How does the work how do you bring that work in the Senate back to voters in Georgia to explain to them what that work is really about?
Look, just this morning, I was on the phone with leaders in the Valdosta community talking about our work to help strengthen Moody Air Force Base, to sustain it into the future. I am laser focused on delivering for the state of Georgia and doing my constitutional duty to hold an out-of-control executive accountable. And these two things go hand in hand, as does our obligation as citizens at this pivotal moment in our history to stand up and be counted. We have an opportunity this fall to send a message that will echo down for generations that these kinds of abuses of power will not be tolerated from a president of either party. It is an obligation that we have to meet this moment. We're ready to do that in Georgia, but it's going to be tough, and we need the country behind us.
Senator Jon Ossoff, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lawrence.